wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today, it's Wednesday, it's the news day. We're talking a little bit of news. I've officially finished university now. I've been off the last 2 days. I can't remember anything from the last 2 days, to be brutally honest. And now it's boiling hot in the UK. So I'm sat here in front of these studio lights, absolutely sweating. But joining me first of all to talk about all the news in professional wrestling, we have the host of Take It to the Table, Chaos. How are you today, Chaos?
What's good? What's good? Yes, I am happy. I am dandy. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy May 1st as well. So pinch punch and all that. This is gonna be all that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that too. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about. Well, this is my first one on this new set of the daily. But yeah, I'm excited to get into all the news and everything and give my twos on certain things. So yeah, let's get straight to it. Also, happy congrats on finishing university as well.
Thank you very much. It is such a weird feeling now, but it means that you guys are gonna have to put up with a lot more of me over on YouTube and all the platforms.
Yay.
We have Numero One Superfly saying hello, Numero One. I hope you're having a great day. But also joining us today, if you haven't checked out his WrestleMania 40 vlog yet, well, it's on the YouTube channel. We have Josh Markowitz. Josh, how are you?
Ben, I'm doing great. Congrats on university as well. I'm in that same boat. Today I actually just finished high school, so in that same kind of boat. It's also scorching hot here in Philadelphia. So again, studio lights are bright. Literally the same boat, but I'm excited to talk news, everything that's going on around the wrestling right now because there's a lot going on. So I'm ready to talk about it.
Philadelphia gets heat. That's
surprising.
UK and Philly are meant to be cold, and it's both sweating. I'm a bit sunburned. You guys can see as well. It's just, oh god,
you get sunburned at 11 degrees. That's how crazy.
No, it's true. No, Chaos. The worst part is, it was Monday. I was in the park for 30 minutes, right? And that's how I got sunburned. But also joining us today, we have got the always controversial Ignacio. How are you?
Hey, Ben. Feeling pretty good. Congratulations on we call it college here in the States, from graduating college, right? But it's great to see everybody. I'm ready to talk about all the news and notes of the week. And I'm here. I'm watching you, Chaos, because I see you typing over there. You're stooging me off with David Sheldon, stooging me off to Ben over there. I'm going to be watching you this whole show, all right?
All right. Oh, calm down. I don't go that way, but fair enough.
Let's jump straight into the first topic, shall we? Because Mr. Cody Rhodes, well, a few weeks ago in All Elite Wrestling, they obviously had their, what event was it now? Dynasty, that was the one. And Tony Storm basically made a joke out of his title celebration in the press conference. And well, Cody Rhodes is usually quite a calm-spoken man. Well, he went full Will Smith in an interview this week on Cheap Heat. And he literally just said, he was like, don't ever mention me or my wife's name in a press conference. Don't you ever do that. To be fair to Tony Storm, she didn't actually mention Brandy's name at all, nor his. It was blatant. She was talking about Cody, and it was just such a pointless comment that she said, especially considering, AEW very possibly wouldn't exist without him, which is what he also said in the interview. But yeah, I thought this comment was just a little bit weird from Cody Rhodes. He seemed to get a little bit protective quite quickly. what were your thoughts, Chaos?
I think no one is the better person out of this whole situation. Both of them, Tony and Cody, just said really weird comments that just shouldn't have been said. But yeah, it's one of them things where Tony's not the only one. Everyone's trying to take snipes. If it's not Cody, then it's Triple H. If it's not Triple H, then someone's taking snipes at Will Ospreay, and it's a weird circle. But yeah, I think it's one of the things where, hey, if people don't keep poking the bear, And then Cody's gonna be like, you know what, screw it. Even though as much as he's saying that he would never go against AEW, is it's his baby and all that stuff. But I mean, yeah, if you keep on doing these pointless jabs at them, there's only so much a man can take. So, but I agree. Tony didn't really say Cody and Brandy by name. She didn't even say anything about Brandy at all. But Brandy was part of the celebrations at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I guess.
And Triple H, as much as he says he doesn't want to be the center of attention, when Cody called him out, he happily came down the ring and showed that this is my guy. So yeah, I think if you're there, then you're pretty much part of it. So, but yeah, it was just really pointless. I don't really see what was the whole point of Tony Storm saying it, but it got people talking about AEW for a good 5-10 minutes. So I guess that's no press is bad press, if that's the saying.
That's their business plan at this point, isn't it? Just
pretty much
controversial so people talk about you.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it was fun. It was cheeky, but yeah, it was both fun needed at the same time for both ends. But yeah, we move on. Really, we've heard worse. Let's say that.
Yeah. That's true. And I mean, I think it's a dangerous game AEW Stars are playing when they're dissing Cody Rhodes or even, referencing him in a way which might not be positive, because this guy, he surely has some dirt, right? He was an EVP. He suddenly left out of nowhere and he never said why. And the only thing he said is it wasn't because of the other EVPs. And the fact that he said that makes it seem like, hey, maybe there is a reason for it. And yeah, I think they're playing a dangerous game, trying to, prompt,
I think Cody Rhodes is. He's like wrestling's version of Drake. It's just like everyone is. Everyone's trying to claim his spot, and everyone's trying to take their jab at him, and that's what people are doing right now in the hip hop game. Everyone's trying to take their shot at Drake. Yeah. So yeah, and there's only so much that Cody/Drake could take before he actually rebuttals back with a vengeance. So that's just we'll have to wait and see until how much he can take.
Are you saying that we're gonna have a 19-minute diss track from somebody drop on Cody Rhodes, Chaos?
I hope so. That would be hilarious. It's him rapping over that. Yeah, just them rapping over their theme songs and just dissing Cody. That'd be awesome. That'd be so awesome. Get Max Caster on it. I
was about to say that Max Caster, he caused a lot of controversy at the minute. Let's get him to do one of that. I mean, shout out. I think we're actually sponsoring a match of his. Shout out Savannah tomorrow. So that's good. Not tomorrow. I don't know when it is. Next few days. But that is crazy for sure. I mean, Josh, what are your thoughts on this situation? I mean, what's going on?
I mean, it's just it's another one of those AEW taking a shot at WWE, and I get it. The guy creates a company practically. He seems as if he'll be loyal forever. He builds it up and then he leaves. He goes on to be the top dog at the rival company. Like, if I was the secondary company in this scenario, AEW, like, yeah, I'd be pissed for sure too, and I'd be shooting shots at him. It's like saying if you're gonna go with the king, you best not miss. That's a saying, kind of like LeBron James. But it's that kind of thing here with Cody. Like, everyone's trying to attack Cody. For whatever reason, they just want to get more dirt on him because maybe, jealousy is pouring in. I don't know really what it is, but there's definitely different reasons why everyone's, shooting at Cody. And also, like lies and propaganda. I know Cody talked about, there's a lot of that going on, which he believes, at least in the locker room. But it's just that same kind of AEW, WWE drama. But it's something you got to expect when you got two companies going head to head. It's just, it's natural. I think it's natural competition. And I think it's good for both companies. It's good to have competition like this, not even in the wrestling standpoint, but outside of it. This kind of stuff, it puts attention on both companies. In this case, AEW probably is getting not better attention, but more attention, just because I feel like they are that kind of secondary company. And when they're throwing shots at WWE, they're, I guess, the no bad press. There really is no bad press. That's kind of that same kind of thing. But I also think it's funny how this news is coming out in the same light as the Cody's aiming to be the most profitable superstar ever. Yeah. It's just like very like, whoa, there's a lot of Cody news going on right now. And like to address that. Yeah, same interview. Exactly. And, to address that, that's also a tough concept to think about because, you're thinking about John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, probably the four names you're thinking about. And, you know, did Cody sell $1 million of merchandise in WrestleMania weekend? Yes. Has he topped merchandise sales for the last few months, maybe even years? Yes. But like, you're talking most profitable ever. Like, Stone Cold has been selling probably hundreds to thousands of shirts every single day for the last 30 years. So if you want to reach that, like those Austin 316 shirts are being sold every single day. So if you want to reach that level, you have to reach that aura, and reaching Stone Cold's aura is very, very hard. See, Ignacio even has that shirt on right now. Actually,
yeah,
I'm noticing. So just proving kind of my point there. I don't know if he can make it. I think he really has a great presence with, the younger demographic, of course, and for sure the future of this company for the foreseeable future. But I just don't know if he can actually get to be the most profitable ever. It's such a tough mountain to climb.
No, it certainly is. I mean, I think John Cena's technically currently the highest ever. I mean,
Oh yeah, without a
Rey
doubt.
Mysterio, Stone Cold, and Hogan slash if you include the NWO Hogan as well. I mean, it is like, listen, Cody. I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's been a steep mountain to climb. Numero one says, I imagine Max Caster will be the guy to diss Cody Rhodes. D.03.M is saying AEW is so far from actually competing anymore. I mean, it does kind of feel like 3 steps forward, 4 steps back with them. But I mean, I don't think they're dead yet. Like, I really don't. I think it's just, I think us wrestling fans are a bit short sighted sometimes. But hey, I think a lot of this stuff isn't happening. Also, very quickly, our thoughts to Sonny Dalton and Sandy, great follower of ours, always watches the show, who's revealed that his wife suffered a heart attack yesterday. So my thoughts are really with you and your family at this time. That is absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah, but I mean, Ignacio, Josh transitioned so well there too. To of course what Cody said. He wants to be the most profitable star in WWE history. He said it on the interview with Cheap Heat. And yeah, I mean, what do you think, Ignacio? Do you reckon he could get to that height?
This will be fun.
I don't know, man. That's I mean, like you mentioned before, I mean, you're talking about Austin and NWO and Hogan. Even Hogan just celebrated 40 years of Hulkamania, and they were selling those out left and right. Those T-shirts out left and right. They came out with like 3 or 4 shirts and sweatshirts and all that stuff, and that's really hard to do nowadays because merchandising and licensing and all that stuff bigger than it's ever been before, especially within WWE. So, that's a pretty tall order for him to do that. I mean, Cody's got, I don't know, like 10 shirts on WWE Shop, and he's got action figures and all this stuff. And, action figures are bigger than they ever were before. So to say that you're going to sell more shirts and more figures and more, lunch boxes or whatever than Stone Cold Steve Austin and John Cena and Hulk Hogan and all those guys, that's a pretty tall order. I think Cody's the larger than life quote unquote character that wrestling needs today. But is he going to be more profitable than those individuals? I mean, he's off to a pretty good start because he's had good programs with Roman and Rock and Brock and all those guys have been helping him out, sell those T-shirts and stuff. But I mean, of all time, I think Cody's going to come out a little bit short on that. It's a great goal to have. Cody's never been one to have not to have aspirations, but I mean, to outsell those guys, I mean, that's a pretty tall order, man. I mean, like they still sell Austin shirts, they still sell NWO shirts, they still sell Hogan stuff. John Cena. I'll say this, that I never met anybody that say they didn't like Stone Cold Steve Austin or they didn't like Hogan at the time when Hogan was hot in that era when he at that time when he was the number one, T-shirt seller, sold out arenas and stuff in the 80s in the golden era. John Cena was very polarizing. The first real big polarizing individual, I think, in the WWE at that time. But he still sold a lot of merch because they targeted a specific demographic, and that was enough. But Cody kind of still has a lot of, and I hate haters, if you will, that Cody's everything that wrestling fans that I think wrestling has needed for a long time. But for some reason, there's a section of the audience or the fan base that say, yeah, that's everything we want in somebody, a hero or a baby face or whatever, but we don't want him. And I don't know, and I don't know why. That's a question we can probably ask another time or whatever. But I mean,
Clark says it's the tie clips. The tie clips are the reason, he says.
The tie clips, the promos, whatever, just for whatever reason, it's like the tie clips. But I mean, for whatever reason, fans there's a section of the fan base that say, no, not him. And that's the reason that I think that he won't be that top seller. Is there's a big section of the fan base that for whatever reason, they're not with it with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, no, you are right. There are those people, and I mean, I think Cody's done a great job. But with John Cena, you could see those kids wearing the wristbands, the hats, and all that. Right? What are they going to do with Cody? Get a neck tattoo? Like it's he's not as marketable as Mysterio, Hogan, and
wearing they wear that god awful spinner belt that what's his name. Ben loves the worst.
No,
yep, absolute ass. The worst title ever.
But
fight me.
But that's the thing that at the time, or maybe even today, that's like the highest grossing replica belt or whatever.
I know it's annoying. I know. That's why it was active for so long, because it was selling. It was crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna lie, as a kid, I actually, not a proper one, but I had like a toy version of it, and I thought it was cool, but it growing older, I'm like, it was rubbish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But now let's move on, because I want to move on to talk about somebody who I think everybody needs to believe him. Say his name and he'll appear. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe. I'm not gonna let anybody's ears bleed anymore.
That's the sound of someone snapping you. But go on.
Yeah, don't do that
again. But I mean, in case you guys haven't seen this week, Joe Hendry, TNA star Joe Hendry, king of the internet sensation, whatever you want to call him. His theme song, well, it's charting and has been charting for the past 4 days. #1 on the iTunes chart. #1. I mean, it is a bang of a theme, but it's not a new theme. I mean, hey, if a TNA star can get their track just to be #1 because it's funny or whatever, then hey, maybe R-Truth and WWE need to be pushing their stuff a little bit more. I mean, Chaos, what are your thoughts on this?
All right, let me go and shatter these dreams right now. All right, so this is what happens when you go to a dodgy website and then make a dodgy purchase to get Russian bots to go and rush your single and make it go rush up into the charts. This is all came out of nowhere. No, first off, he's not gonna get the #1. I hope he doesn't get the #1 spot, because it just doesn't make sense. So it's just out of nowhere, and it just looks it feels like an out of date April Fool's joke. I don't get the hype behind it. But yeah, this is all dodge. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, sure, it's a fine theme, and sure is an entertaining feud in TNA, but yeah, this is all come left field, and yeah, I feel it's just a little flash in the pan thing, and I feel like someone just bought a bunch of Russian bots and then just put a million plays on it, and that's why it's there. I ain't really got much to say about it.
We used it on TikTok and we got 400,000 views. So I think it's like doing the songs doing well on TikTok, I think.
But is there a trend? Is there like a theme going with the song?
I don't know if there's I think a lot of people are using it and they're doing like the clap. I believe in Joe Hendry.
I have not seen any of this, and I'm on TikTok and Instagram more than I am on X and Facebook. So yeah, I don't know where
I don't use it much.
There you go. I mean, there's something is off with this. I mean, it's funny. It's got us talking about it, but yeah, he's not gonna get #1, bro. It's not even hitting the actual news. If it does, then fair enough. I'll eat my words. But yeah, this is just out of nowhere. I do not care for it. Congrats for him for actually being in the news about it. But yeah, let's move on to something more interesting.
You are
if
right.
anything, there's way better theme songs that should be number one. There's way better ones.
No, it's not. You listen, Chaos, you're a hater. You clearly don't believe in Joe.
I don't believe in him. I believe in my tribal chief, the one and only head of the table. Yes, of course.
Well,
yes,
I acknowledge our tribal chief. I acknowledge our tribal Tef. I acknowledge all these people, but I still believe in Joe Hendry. But something else which I believe in is our good friends over at Next Level. Now, if you guys don't know who Next Level are, basically, so many links on social media nowadays. They've chucked all our social media links all in one place. You can see our Twitter links, our Twitch links, our Facebook links, our Instagram links. All of them are over on nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, all linked in one place, plus exclusive content, plus giveaways, in which I think I can tell you about the new one in just a couple of days' time as well. That is very, very exciting. You guys are not going to want to miss the new one. That is for sure. But again, just go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic. That link, there's giveaways on, exclusive content, all our links, and it's completely free. Like it's win. Winner, chicken dinner. There's no catch. Yeah, it's great stuff. It's as simple as that. But something else, which, well, maybe it's great stuff, maybe it isn't, is the Undertaker, and specifically the Undertaker on his comments on the WWE Draft, because I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Undertaker now has a podcast. He's gotten out his mic, and a couple of years ago, me and Chaos actually went to one of his Dead Man shows or whatever, and basically walk in there, and the entire thing of it is that he doesn't want anything that he says getting out there. So you have to put your phones in these pockets. There's all these rules and everything. No videos. You're kicked out if you make a video. And I thought, this is genius, right? He said some stuff you're like, he'd get heat if he said that on a podcast, whatever. It was fantastic. Well, he's got his own podcast now, 6 Feet Under, and he slammed the WWE Draft. He said not much happened. I agreed with him completely, but I'm going to say this. I'm not happy Undertaker as a podcast. I'm really not. It takes away from the allure of him a little bit. And like his Dead Man shows, I thought that was perfect because it wouldn't be televised anywhere, but you could still get to know him. And it made that ticket so much more valuable. And this podcast, I feel like, has made his Dead Man shows feel a lot more insignificant. And also, I'm worried Undertaker's going to end up like one of those whiny old veterans of a podcast. What are your thoughts, Ignacio? You're muted, I believe. Yeah, there we go.
Well, let me address the issue with the draft. I mean, he's just nothing that anybody's been saying. I mean, it was lackluster, no big changes. You know what I mean? I think what they need to do, not that WWE didn't have this in mind, but I think they need to have in mind is, okay, how can we make the draft big so it's must-see TV? And the way they need to do that is they need to incorporate what future storylines they have in mind for after WrestleMania and find a way to incorporate the draft into that. So, for example, if they're going to keep champions on the rosters, like they kept Cody on SmackDown and Damian Priest on Raw, well, it's like, okay, well, who are we going to have for them lined up after WrestleMania? And let's draft those people or have them or incorporate, like Undertaker mentioned, let's draft maybe somebody to SmackDown. Let's say, for example, Gunther to SmackDown because he's going to we want him to feud with Cody Rhodes. But let's maybe on night 2 of the draft on Raw, have Gunther drafted back to Raw on a trade for, I don't know, Kevin Owens or whatever. They need to make the draft more active, more trade up, trade down, trade tag teams. I don't like the fact that they trade or they draft factions. Like I think we need to, 'cause the first draft was, I think, the most entertaining draft that they ever did, and they even drafted a faction back then. But they separated tag teams. They separated the APA. They separated the Dudley Boys. yada yada. You know, if you want to go back and check it out, go back and check it out. But eventually, did those ideas work? Well, no, it worked for JBL, didn't work for the Dudley Boys. But I think, you know, with the creative minds that are in there in WWE, I think, you know, you can make it work. You know, I think you can separate Ludwig Kaiser from Imperium, because I think it's his time already, and I think he's gonna eventually, now that we saw on Raw that they're gonna try to do something with him as a single. But you know, you can separate Montez, Ford, and Dawkins, and maybe do with them as a single. So I think that's restricting them from, and that's why the draft was so lackluster. Is, you know, they draft tag teams, they draft factions, they kept the same people on the same shows, the main players. They only drafted preliminary people and mid-carders. So that's why it didn't work. I think if they think ahead of time, like, hey, these is who our guys are going to be coming out of WrestleMania, our champions or our main eventers are the people that we want to focus on, and find a way to incorporate the draft into those storylines where they can make the draft interesting. Just like Undertaker said, trade up, trade down, make trades during the year. So it not just have people show up on the show randomly like Judgment Day left and right, because Judgment Day last year was supposed to be on Raw. They're on SmackDown every other week because they were the tag team champions. They kept on making excuses to have Dom on there. So it just ruins the integrity of the draft. And I think if they made it look more like a sports-like draft, then it would be must-see TV. Because everybody knows that after WrestleMania, WWE kind of takes a breath. But instead, to kick off the next era or year of WWE programming, it's the draft, and they need to make that must-see TV. They need to make that more interesting. So I think Undertaker, from that aspect, he's exactly right. I agree with him with that. But now let me go into what you mentioned as far as him being more active in the public eye with his Dead Man shows. And so if you don't want anybody to hear anything you said or did or whatever, then you might as well stay home in seclusion, because, you know, somebody's going to say, well, Undertaker said this at his Dead Man show, and Undertaker, no, I didn't. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to be out there. So, I mean, Undertaker's not really Undertaker anymore as far as on-screen Undertaker. Undertaker's, you know, what we saw at WrestleMania. I mean, he didn't show up in the gimmick. He showed up in his street clothes. That's the way people see Undertaker now, and I don't think people exactly have a problem with it. I mean, if Undertaker wants to be more in the public eye, I'm fine with that, because I don't think it takes away from the mystique of his character, because he's not really in character anymore. He's just Mark Calloway, you know, and Undertaker's kind of like a backdrop now.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I thought you'd have a different opinion on that. I thought you were going to hate it.
What?
Him having a podcast.
Okay. I just thought of this, what you said earlier. At last, that he was going to turn into like a Jim Cornette or a grumpy old man or whatever. I really can't see Taker doing that. I think he's going to kind of, maybe, how should I say, offer some maybe constructive criticism every now and then, just like he did with the draft, and that's okay. Jim Cornette and other guys, Jim Cornette goes a little bit, steps over the line too much, and so do a few other guys, I think, in my opinion. I don't think Undertaker's going to turn into that, but, you know, Undertaker doesn't have to be kayfabe Undertaker anymore. I mean, he's not that character. He's retired. He's Mark Calloway now, you know. When people show up on WWE TV, I don't think he's going to be inclined to show up in character anymore. So,
fair enough.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah. I will quickly just say this regarding the draft. I think this is pretty much confirms that they had no plans for the draft. They simply did it because it was the draft week.
Yeah,
with NFL and everything. That's my thoughts about it. They didn't want to. They just played it safe. Didn't want to do anything. They just took advantage of it. That was it.
They didn't incorporate.
Some people liked it though. No, but people are saying that they was, and Triple H wanted to make a statement by saying, you know,
he didn't know when
to look after the top guys. Apparently, it really was like the idea, but it just sucked.
Even when he announced it. Sorry, I just want to say, even when he announced it, he didn't know when it was happening. He was just like, he just dropped it randomly when he was at Pat McAfee show. It was just like, yeah, it's happening in about a month or so. Like, he just does not care for it. But yeah.
If you want to make it interesting, I mean, for example, you draft Drew McIntyre to SmackDown and then show the War Room or whatever you know, like, oh, we gotta have Adam Pearce. Like, man, we gotta get Drew McIntyre back. What do we gotta do to get Drew McIntyre? Oh man, I hate to do this, but let's give him Gunther. And later on, they make a trade again. You know, there's a trade deadline. You know, but you know, like I said, they had no plans for it.
No, that is true. That's probably true. I mean, a lot of people are agreeing with you. Number one's agreeing, saying, you know, team breakups, John Cena getting drafted twice, etc. As well. Pierce is saying, I don't think you could pay me to listen to Taker's podcast. I mean, fair enough on that one.
I mean, I tried it. I tried it. It's not the best. It has its moments.
It's not that bad, but I mean,
Yeah,
shout out to Pierce.
How long has
it
been
been long?
Okay,
not long now. It's only been like the last like maybe month or two. I think
a couple months.
Be behind the Patreon, isn't it? Or is it not anymore? Is it now free?
No, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube now. I've seen clips of it. Apex Sound saying the draft is just used to create storylines at this point, but it didn't create any storylines. Like, I'd agree with you if it did that, but it just feels like it was lazy. It really does. But hey, we've got to move on, and let's talk about storylines. Let's talk about AEW, because tonight on Dynamite, we're finding who is next for Swerve. Now, this is a bit random. You don't see this very often. They don't usually advertise on a wrestling show, hey, next week our world champion, we'll find out who they're facing. It's not like this in there'll be a number one contenders thing. It's just, oh, you'll find out. You know, we'll let him know on next week. It's all very weird. It feels like they have a surprise up their sleeve. Josh, what's your take on this?
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat as you. I think it's really weird. I actually kind of think it's dumb the way they're using it as an advertising tactic instead of just like letting the build to Swerve's first title defense come natural. Like, I think it should be meaningful. It should be built up. It shouldn't just be a random guy that has no correlation with him at all and just comes out and just says like, hey, I'm challenging you. And that's that. Like, it shouldn't be like that. And, you know, it could go either way. The way I hope it doesn't go is I hope they don't kind of just go with like the whole like power rankings thing and be like, oh, Orange Cassidy or John Moxley has the best win-loss record. They deserve a shot. Like, it shouldn't be like that. It's his first title defense. He just climbed many, many mountains to get that championship. It should be a really big one. And it's at Double or Nothing, which is their flagship show, maybe besides All In now, but it's their biggest show. So this is an important match. So I guess what I hope happens is Swerve is out there cutting a promo. It's not like an open challenge. It's not like a, hey, if you want to fight me, come out here. It's not, you know, there's no number one contenders match. Doesn't seem like there is one, at least for tonight. The card's pretty stacked already. So what I think should happen is maybe Swerve starts cutting a promo, beginning the match. Jack Perry comes out after putting his hands on Tony Khan. He says he's taking over the business with the new elite, which I will get into in the next topic. We'll talk a little bit about. And I think Jack Perry versus Swerve Strickland would be a great first story to tell. I mean, we haven't seen Perry in action in AEW in a while. He's been elsewhere, but in AEW at least, he hasn't been there wrestling in a while. And he just returned. They literally just destroyed the boss, Tony Khan. So, like, what better way to say, like, we're taking over, like, I'm taking over, I'm going right for the belt, I'm going right, eyes for the prize, than to challenge Swerve. And it would be a heck of a match, too. So I hope Swerve Strickland versus Jack Perry, Double or Nothing, I think it would go great.
That would be great. I mean, Apex Sound is saying, who better than Hangman? I reckon it's Hangman. And I'm not entirely sure I like that yet. I would have preferred a real story, a real build, because their storyline between those two guys has been so perfect. If we're doing it for the title, if they're running it back again, let's build it a bit over time. They took a breather from each other. Don't just throw them back in the ring together. But I do fear that's what they are doing. Unfortunately, we have number one Superfly saying either Brian Cage, Daniel Garcia, Eddie Kingston, or maybe Claudio. I mean, I don't think any of these are big enough to be the Double or Nothing main event. No, that's the issue. Despite the fact that I would like to see that. But I mean, Jack Perry, David Martin, Jack Perry is a top heel right now, along with the young.
Calm down.
Well, it's true. I mean, they did just take, maybe they were the biggest babyface or the biggest heels in the industry, depending on who you ask and if they like Tony Khan. But they certainly got people talking. Like we said earlier, AEW's business plan is to get people talking, and I mean, it's
no. People are talking because of the oversell, the beautiful selling from Tony Khan from the gut punch. That's what everyone's talking about.
I thought it was great until he did that interview at WWE a couple of days later. But hey, that's not here nor there. I don't want to get into another rant about that. That was Friday's show. I don't know if you guys saw this Friday's show. I was putting over Tony Khan for the first time in ages. And then that news came out on air. Somebody commented it. I didn't believe it. It was true. And I was like, yeah, this is stupid. Idiot of the week. Tony Khan is idiot of the week.
Donkey of the day.
Maybe we'll get a new idiot of the week tonight on Dynamite. And maybe that man will be Kenny Omega. I doubt it. Kenny Omega's great. I hope he doesn't do anything to make him the idiot of the week. But tonight on AEW Dynamite, Kenny Omega will be returning. And I think the new elite, right? We know last week they took out Tony Khan. I think Kenny Omega is going to return tonight. The new elite are going to take him out. He's going to try and confront them. They're going to take him out. And then I think he's going to go and get surgery, and we're not going to see him for another 6 months again. I think it's as simple as that. And Apex Sounds agrees with me. But Josh, do you agree with me?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you to start. I don't know how many more months. Do you know, is there a timeline how many more months we think he's out?
Well, he hasn't had surgery yet. Like, I mean, that's the big thing. Because, I mean, he's confirmed he needs surgery on Twitch, and he's not had it yet. So, I mean, can't be returning today.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Definitely on the same kind of boat with the new elite. I think the elite are going to take over Dynamite with the absence of Tony Khan. And also like the elite kind of fired Omega during his departure. So I think Omega is definitely going to return as a face. I guess, you know, he's still injured, obviously, but he could not be like a manager, but sort of like in that role ish. It could be, I feel like we could see like an Omega and Team AEW versus the new elite. Like, I think a cool story would be like, you know, Tony Khan isn't here anymore. We took him out. So now we're taking over. It's kind of like John Laurinaitis, evil Vince McMahon. It's kind of like along the lines of that. Like, we're just seeing a lot of bad interferences, a lot of the heels winning a lot because of, you know, interferences and stuff that the new elite are doing to kind of take over Dynamite. And I think a good way to go about this would be Omega comes back, whether or not he's wrestling, kind of rallies a group of people as Team AEW, and especially like the OGs like Moxley, Cassidy, Hangman Page. And I could even see this happening in like a blood and guts kind of match. I think would be great. So like Team AEW versus Team New Elite, blood and guts. It would go great. It'd be a great story to tell. Obviously, the injury with Omega definitely kind of stinks because he'd be a great asset to that team. But I feel like if they wanted to tell this story now with the absence of Tony Khan, and they can't just keep Tony Khan away for so long because Omega's got to get surgery. So maybe he could kind of be like the person that kind of rallies the group together and kind of, you know, helps them along the way. But I think this would be a good story to tell. A ton of good ideas that go along with that. But that's my current opinion on what I think should and could happen.
I mean, that is a great shout. I mean, we got number one Superfly saying, isn't there some kind of auction to buy Tony Khan's neck brace? There is, and it goes to charity, I believe, as well. So fair play to him for that. But no, I agree with you, Josh. I'd love to see that. I mean, maybe if everybody's cleared by then, I mean, I think there's a lot of injuries to clear to be able to do this, but maybe Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Hangman Page, and somebody else against the new Elite Blood and Guts later on in the year. That would be phenomenal. But yeah, I think like 3 of those people are injured right now, so that would be a. I mean, to be fair, putting them straight in a blood and guts match, I think is a world shout as well upon a return. But who knows? AEW have done significantly well there, haven't they? Ignacio, I want to get your thoughts on this, right? Because I mean, I haven't actually spoken to you yet about the new Elite, and I know you're not a big Young Bucks guy, but what are your thoughts on the new Elite in general? You're muted again. This mute button is getting everyone today.
But it's chaos. He's muting me from afar.
I am the final boss. So.
I think that you're delusional if you think that Kenny Omega coming back tonight's gonna try to revive AEW. The only reason I would be excited to see Kenny Omega on TV is to announce his retirement, because I think he's what I thought he was the most embarrassing thing to happen to wrestling until AEW laid that turd in the ring they did to close the show last week. If anybody who listens to Wrestling Republic, anybody on this podcast, anybody a part of Wrestling Republic, any wrestling fan, if you say you enjoyed that last week, you should be embarrassed and ashamed to call yourself a wrestling fan. That was the worst thing I've seen, not only on wrestling television, but on television in general in years. It was embarrassing. It was awful. I feel bad for everybody involved. I feel bad for people like Jake Roberts and JR and Tony Schiavone, and for people who have to actually sit through this and force themselves to tell themselves that they like this or this is good. It's god awful. It's terrible. Their ratings, I think, are going to plummet from here. I think that's going to be quote unquote AEW's finger poke of doom. Is that moment?
Wow.
It's
wow.
You know, I'm not saying the finger poke of doom is what doomed WCW, but I mean, it was not good. But I mean, there were under 700 viewers, and coming off of what they wanted at the pay-per-view, the fans wanted a Swerve to be world champion. They wanted the greatest wrestling match of all time with Ospreay and Danielson. You know, they wanted great matches. They wanted, you know, dream matches at Dynasty. They wanted to see Orange Cassidy and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Well, they got it. And then the response is they have had the lowest rated Dynamite since January 2021. Is that right?
No.
No?
I don't think so. Is it?
I don't know.
Shock me if that's true. Maybe it is. I'll check it now. But
I mean, definitely the lowest rated Dynamite of this year, and maybe even last year. I don't know. Ben, you're the stats guy. Clark is also, but it's just terrible. It's awful. You know, I contemplated not watching anymore. AEW, that is. But I'm going to watch because I just want to see them sink down the toilets, because maybe somebody can take this company over eventually and actually do something with it. What I did tell myself, I told myself I'm going to incorporate some TNA into my diet to see what they're doing over there, because, you know, maybe I can, that'll be my palate cleanser from an actual good wrestling program in WWE.
No, you are right. It got 6. So yeah, it was the lowest since 2021. That is crazy. That is, I didn't even realize it was that low. But I mean, it's still not a bad number, by the way. TNT won 500K. So it's not doom and gloom for them. It's Collisions where I think they should be a little bit worried. Dynamite reigns still fine. But I mean, yeah, that's certainly a strong opinion on the new Elite. For one, I'm sorry, Ignacio, but I thought it was rather entertaining for once.
Oh,
I don't think it's the finger poke of doom. I think at least Tony Khan looked like an idiot deliberately for once, where most of the time they make him look like an idiot and he's trying to be serious. But, I mean, Chaos, I want to get your thoughts on all of this situation and Ignacio's comments as well. Like, what are your thoughts now?
First off, just to let everyone know that Ignacio's comments do not reflect on Wrestling Republic. That was totally his own, and he's obviously delusional, and he thinks that the finger poke of doom is the best thing since sliced bread. So yeah, I'm totally opposite of what Ignacio was saying. He's absolutely just tripping off whatever illegal substance that he is taking. There's been far worse on TV. If he thinks that's the worst thing on TV, period, clearly he has not seen the Halo TV series. So yeah, the fact that Kenny Omega is returning, like my assistant has said, I'm kind of. It's a shame that they've actually announced it beforehand. It would have been a nice surprise for him to show up, and you know, try and challenge the Elite to say what the hell's going on, and then they take him out and then see where it goes from there. And obviously, the long term would be him, maybe Hangman, probably joining in, and you know, the original members of the Elite What's that guy that loves to oil up himself and you don't see him anymore? What's his name? Asian guy.
Michael
Nakazawa, yeah, Brandon Cutler. Have them all, yeah, have like a 4-on-4 against the new elite. That would be hilarious. No, but seriously, yeah, I don't think like I said, what all the Ignacio's comments. I thought it was entertaining. I agree. Sure, obviously, it definitely annoyed me the way that TK was selling the gut punch, like he got concussed. It was just really annoying. But yeah, it was a nice little twist. I'm very surprised that it was the lowest rated episode because I even saw that it was 10% down compared to the week prior. So yeah, they just didn't have that much momentum going in, even though we just crowned a new AEW champion. So, but numbers and numbers, it is what it is. It's just, yeah. If all I can say is, if you don't like it, turn it off. Turn it off. Yeah, maybe TNA might be your new palate cleanser. It's not my palate cleanser. I'd rather watch AEW, but it's all subjective. Watch what you want to watch. You can watch more than one thing and still enjoy it. That's all I can say. So, sorry, Ignacio. The final boss has spoken.
I mean, fair enough, but I'll also say this: what Tony Khan's selling, right? It's long-term storytelling, and it's what you wrestling fans want. You want long-term storytelling. Tony Khan said last year that he feared for his life when a monitor fell onto his lap. So, of course, he's going to act like he was killed from a gut punch. It's long-term storytelling. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show today. We've had tons of comments. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really appreciate you guys being here. We'll be back tomorrow, later start time, 11 p.m. UK, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. So we will see you then. Thank you, Chaos. Thank you, Josh. And thank you to Ignacio. We will see you tomorrow. Peace.